Welcome to the Yes You May live stream podcast with your host, me, Amanda May Gray. Today, I have a lovely guest on. Her name is Linda Marie Miller, and I am not going to waste too much time. If you don't know her, you're about to, and you're going to love this conversation we have because she's awesome. Hi, Linda Marie. Thanks for coming on.
Hey, I cannot tell you how excited I'm to be here. You don't know this, but you are one of my favorite people.
Oh,
so there you have it. It's out there. I'm a fan, big fan.
Thank you. You're one of mine. I was so inspired last year when I heard you speak. I was like, oh, we got to be friends. It's going to happen. I know it. See, that's called manifesting.
And I think you live in my neck of the woods. Aren't you in North Carolina?
I'm in Atlanta, so not too far.
Oh, Atlanta. Okay. I used to live in Atlanta. That's why I related to it. Yeah, I used to live there.
Mm-hmm. It's a good place. What part of Atlanta were you in?
Let's see. I ran the streets in Buckhead. I lived in Roswell when that was the end of the road, when there was no Alpharetta. That's how old I am. I lived in Duluth. Gotcha. I lived in Stone Mountain. I lived in Gwinnett. I lived all over the place, but I left when the traffic got bad. So that's it.
Well, it didn't get better, and it's raining today. So when I have to go out and about today, it's going to be a hot mess express. But nonetheless, I was looking at your website, and that's where I got the title of this, Live a Life of No Regrets. And that was the phrase that jumped out at me. And I think it's a really great phrase that's used, obviously, before us. But I feel like you really embody that and help other people find that within themselves. So tell me, why is it on your website? Where is it coming from for you? What does it mean for you?
Yeah. So a life of no regrets for me means at the end, there isn't anything you haven't said. There isn't any kind of being state you haven't been. There isn't any place you've wanted to go that you haven't gone to. But for me, a life of no regrets isn't about really a bucket list. It's about living your purpose. And I have come across so many people in the last year with COVID. Here they are stuck at home, sitting on a couch, having a lot of time to reflect on their lives. And they've had this recurring thought, if this is all there is, it's not enough. And they want to do something different. And I am that space. I am that permission. I am whatever it is. If you are 70 years old and you want to take up tap dancing, this is your time. So that's it. Because I see so many people, especially people over 60, and I coach people over 60 to have a life of no regrets. People over 60 just think they never conceive of life 2.0. So I'm all about life 2.0.
I love that saying, life 2.0. And you also said something that's pretty near and dear to my heart is giving themselves permission. You help them give the permission. And that's something I try to harp on a little bit, is like, you have to give yourself the permission to do things. You don't need to wait for other people to say you can do this or you can do that or whatever, or stay within your societal norms. You have to know what you want, but then you have to say, okay, I can do it. What gave you that ability? What made you be able to have ideas and then take action on them?
Well, sometime in my 40s, and I'm 63, somewhere, I think I might have been about 42, I stopped caring what people think about me. I started accepting the mantra, what you think about me is none of my business. Ooh. And I started realizing I'm going to have a 50th wedding anniversary someday. It's because I'm going to add them all together. I've already had 2 husbands. Now I'm married to the love of my life, but I'm never going to be married for 50 years to the same person. I will be married for 50 years. I don't come to life with judgment for people. And I've seen so many people, taking marriage as an example, married for 35 years, 15 more, and we'll be at 50th wedding anniversary, but they haven't been in love for the last 5. I think that is a life wasted. I think there is a way to be with each other, to uncouple and go on and create something amazing. Both of you still staying friends. So I don't come with any judgment. And that's what I started doing. And I started living that way. And I started speaking that way. And I realized when I started speaking like that to other people, coaching them initially, and then doing trainings, people opened up and said, wow, if she can do it, I can do it. And just stop worrying about what the world thinks about you. That's the only way to live a life. The number one regret in the 5 regrets of the dying is living a life that someone else wanted you to live. That's the number one regret of all people that die. Who wants that? Not me.
No, I don't want that either. But I love what you said. What you think about me is none of my business. I think that's something we really got to take to heart. This whole concept that, like, who cares? Who cares what they think? It doesn't matter what they think if it's negative. Really, too, what I've learned recently is like that's more of a reflection on them and their own self-judgment and whatever the other, I know there's a better word than that, but it's their own issues, their own problems that they're then projecting out on you instead of just being loving and accepting of themselves, flaws and the strengths, and then seeing other people as imperfect humans as well.
And I'm not for everybody. I get that. That was made perfectly clear at last year's contest because I got hate mail after that. So I'm really not for everybody, but it is what it is.
I'm not either. And you know what? That's okay. That's something I've come to terms with as well. It's like, I'm not for everybody. So what? That's okay. Who I'm for will be the people that I can help.
Yeah, and you're drawn to the karmic cord that draws people to you that you need to be with. That's what the world's about.
Absolutely. And that's who you'll build your community around too, right? The people that you're drawn to, and you'll know how to live your life with no regrets. Because I think one of the things is like this whole idea of what's your purpose, what's your calling, what's this or that. And I think we put a lot of pressure on people to figure out that one specific thing at such an early age when one, it can change and evolve, and that's okay. And two, whatever you're being drawn to is probably an indicator, or maybe it's just a stepping stone on your path to whatever you're coming up to next.
It makes me crazy when I hear people say their life's purpose is to help other people earn 7, 8-figure incomes a year. Ugh. That is not a life's purpose. There is such a deeper resonance to your life than helping other people make 8. And I always ask them, does that include the decimal points and the commas? I don't know. You're not clear. But that is not a life's purpose. There is such a higher calling. Like, what is the highest version of yourself in this domain? And one thing that I always tell people is there's this thing that a philosopher named Heidegger talked about being towards death, and that death is the end of all possibility in this domain. And we, especially in the United States, we spend so much of our time every day being busy, watching TV, drinking alcohol, running, exercising, whatever it would be, driving in the car with the radio blasting, anything to avoid being with ourselves. Right. And I say, if you really want to change your life, wake up every morning and meditate for 5 minutes on your death. Ooh. Because in 100 years, give or take a few, everybody on this planet is gone. You and me too. If we come to our morning like that, 2 things will happen. Number 1, you will be free from the fear, free from the angst of worrying about it. And secondly, you will be different when you get out of bed. You might still clean out the cat box and make coffee, but you'll come from a different place because it will matter more when I live in the place that says this conversation I'm having with you right now, Amanda, could be the last one I have on this planet. And because I stand in that place, I want to be different in this conversation with you. I don't want to be distracted. I want to be fully present. And I want to create value for whatever is in front of me. Anybody listening here, my intention is to create one little piece of value you can take away, and maybe it would impact your life. So that's how I wake up every day.
I love that. I love that. Last week, I mistakenly coined a phrase, it's not what you say, it's what you share. Because, especially in the speaking world, we're both in the speaking world, there's a lot of emphasis on choosing the right words and this and that. And I think a lot of people get hung up on like, oh, I got to say the exact right thing. But I think people are more forgiving these days and don't expect you to be so perfect. And instead, if you just have a one-on-one conversation like this to the camera or to your audience or to whatever, and you're just sharing, like your intention is just to share something of knowledge that you got excited about, that you found cool, that, really helped you, that will come across so much better than having the perfectly articulated every single sentence.
Yeah, don't
and
do a
just
speech. Be a message. That's what I tell people. And I
I
tell
like
them, memorize your speech and then forget it. Show
that.
up and deliver your message from your heart. That's all you have to do. The words don't matter. Nobody has a written copy of your speech in front of them. They're not going to know you missed an entire paragraph. It doesn't matter. If you're worried about doing a speech, you will not land your message in the hearts and minds of your audience. And you're wasting their time. You may as well go home. That's the way I look at it.
It's so true. It's so true. That's something that people do really get hung up on. And I think that so I did the competition this past season, I guess this current
Mhm.
season,
Mhm.
and I had it like verbatim. Like I had everything figured out. I had the pacing, everything. And, I got to district, but I got third. And I think part of it was because I was too polished. It wasn't as connected, and just sharing and helping somebody else out. Uh, let's talk about, you were in a corporate world for a long time,
Mhm.
and now you're an entrepreneur. And that's
Yes.
something that is scary, and a lot of people dream
Mhm.
of doing. But you also found that way to give yourself permission, say yes, live your life with no regrets by saying no to the corporate world anymore and saying yes to what you were feeling called to. How did that go? How did you end up there? And how's it going?
Yeah, well, I was in corporate America for 4 decades. I was a finance exec, right?
Just a little
Long
while.
time. It was what I did. I could do it in my sleep. And I left on April 30th of this year. I resigned
Wow.
last November, but I worked with them. They had some things they wanted me to finish up, so I did that. It wasn't scary at all. And it wasn't scary because working as a finance exec in corporate America is not my life's purpose. I have been an experiential trainer for about 20 years, and I've been an ontological ICF certified coach for about the last 5. So I knew that I had impact with people in creating experiences for them that were profound enough to change their life. And that was my calling. So I used to do that outside of it. I did a corporate training. I have a corporate training, which is my life's work, called Champions of Change, which is a 9-month program. And it creates leaders from within. It creates a leader in the receptionist. You don't have to, I'm of the thinking you don't have to have people reporting to you to be a magnificent leader in the corporate world. So I have that training. I'm writing 2 books. I'm writing a book called Champions of Change, but based on an experience I had a few years ago, I'm also writing a book called A Very White Life. And it's the result of the speech that I did last year. So I have that actually, and I'm starting a 3rd book called about my daughter who passed away when she was 20 years old, and the life lessons I got from her. So I've got books to write. I've got people to train. I have a training coming up on September 4th. If anybody's interested, it's a half-day training called Life of No Regrets. If you are not sure, if you are in the question of, if you wake up and say, if this is all there is, it's not enough, if you're not living a fully manifested highest version of yourself, reach out to me. I'll hook you up. But that is what my calling was. Now, I am not worried about anything coming to me. The universe, I have, what is that? I have a motto. I have, everything is always working out for me. And it does. And I don't know how half the time. I have a husband who is 6 years post lung transplant. And the month before was my last day at work, he went into rejection. Now that's enough to put the fear of God into you, that you've got someone in rejection from a lung transplant and you are leaving the corporate world and the big paycheck. So, but it's all worked out and I'm not worried about it. We have everything arranged and life is really good for us.
That's amazing. Wow. I mean, 3 books. I love that you said you don't know how it's going to work out, but it does. You just trust that it's going to work out. And that's something that I've been working on a lot, is like, I don't know how I'm going to, make this podcast be a success versus a failure. I don't know how I'm going to get guests to come on and want to talk to me. And then somebody was like, yeah, I'll come on your podcast. I'm like, really? Like, I just trust that things are going to work out. And I think part of trusting that things are going to work out, though, is then taking action, even one small action every little day, versus just putting it all out there in the positive mind. I don't think we talk enough about taking action and doing and keep trying and moving forward.
Yeah, that's what it's about. You just have to have your vision and wake up every day and take one step one messy step forward, one elegant step forward. Different days, it looks different for me, but I'm always moving forward towards a life of no regrets.
I love that. You said it wasn't hard to go and be an entrepreneur after the corporate world. It wasn't as scary. But do you think because you had such an extended positive time in the corporate world, do you think that has helped you so much going out on your own? Or do you think it's something that you could have done either way?
Well, because I was in finance, I was in business, I was in business. I know how to run a business. I know what business requires. I knew I needed a virtual assistant, so I got a virtual assistant. I knew I needed a studio set up because, especially with a husband that's post-lung transplant in the COVID world, I knew I wasn't going to be leaving the house and doing a lot of speaking outside. But I have spoken in 24 countries in the last year. I've had over 60 speaking events since last August, and I've never left my office. So it's amazing. And my office is literally, this is my dining room that has been turned into with sound curtains and box lights and, the whole 9 yards. I've got it all. So
I just converted.
I've converted it and it's working. And I don't ever worry about, I am in November getting on a big stage in Washington, D.C., but even that's going to be a hybrid event. They said they're going to be speaking to about 400 people in that work because I'm doing a huge convention and I'm doing a workshop, but it's also going to be hybrid and there are going to be thousands and thousands that are, dialing in through the camera. So it's going to be a hybrid event. So I think the world is going to stay virtual, especially the global world. Conventions are cheaper when you are speaking virtually. And if you have set yourself up so that you can speak virtually or you can do presentations and you have the setup, I think we're going to do really well, people that have been able to set that up. So, and I think your podcast is going to be amazing. I'm going to tell you, I've done a lot of podcasts in the last year.
I bet you have.
You have a way of being with people that's very, very engaging. So I wouldn't say that about every podcaster I've been on. So there you go. That's for you.
Tell anybody? Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I try to just be present, and just, like I said, just have a conversation. I don't think, those old school interview formats are as interesting personally. So I just do what I think is interesting and hope other people like it. So I'm glad it's working out. You mentioned how you're adjusting to this new world. And that's one thing I wanted to talk to you about because, especially in the speaking world, but, I do have a lot of friends that are older and some are embracing this and some are not. And I think it's really important to be embracing the technology and to go where your audience is viewing things. They're not, if you think about the next generations coming up, they're not going to events. They're on their phones. This is where they view things, right? So you have to get there. What gives you the courage to say, I'm going to figure this out? What gives you the confidence to say, I'm going to embrace this technology? And why do you think it's so important that young, old, I don't care who you are, you embrace the changes with technology and run with it?
Yeah, well, I think it's a survival mechanism. I mean, you're either going to embrace this technology or you're going to get left behind, right? That's it. And so I had to set aside time to do the education, to learn, even the technology of how I'm going to do funnels. I had Kajabi and now I use Go High Level, even just the business pieces of it. I wanted something that's going to be the shortest distance between 2 points. And I had to learn that in the virtual world is way different than being present in person with an audience because you have to keep their brains moving forward. The average attention span in the last 10 years has dropped from 12 and a half minutes to 4.5 minutes. And especially in the virtual world, they can be in their kitchen making a sandwich and you think you've got an audience and you don't. So you have to be engaging them all the time. And one of the things that I think I've really had to get jiggy with is all of the technology to keep them engaged. The Mentimeter, the Glasser, all the polling things. So instead of, in person, when I was in person with people, I'd say, everybody take out your cell phones and hold it up. Okay, now turn it off and put it back in your purse or put it back in your pocket.
Right.
so we don't have, but now it's like, get out your cell phones. Okay, get ready. Keep it on, keep it lit. We are going to be using this. And I use word clouds and I do polling. I might even do a poll in the middle of a presentation that has 4 kitten pictures and say, we're going to do a vote now to see which is the cutest picture of the kitten. So I do all those kinds of things, but it keeps, especially younger audiences, when you tell them, hey, you're going to need your phone, keep it at the ready, you keep people's minds coming forward. You keep them engaged. So you have to learn all that software. You have to learn all of the tools and all the tricks. And then you have to set yourself up. Before all these lights and before, I mean, you saw the sound curtains and all of this stuff, I was blue. I looked like I was from the planet Pandora because I'm older and my skin is so white. So white.
I feel you.
And,
I feel the super white.
And you're going to laugh, but this thing on the back wall, guess where I got that from? I saw you on Facebook. I didn't even know you. I went, you were doing something about, I said, oh my God. And I was looking and I was like pulling it close and girl, it's on my wall now.
I think it's the same exact wallpaper.
It is the same exact. You listed what it was. Girl, I wrote it down because before this was against this a white wall.
Yep, I feel you.
I look like a light bulb. You couldn't tell the difference between the hair ended and the wall started. So it was, so I had to figure all that out, right? And when I did, and I could get a visual and I could get the technology and I could get the lighting. And I tell you what, if anybody wants to know the secret, I know you give them the secrets too, so they don't have to make all the mistakes with the wrong cameras and with the wrong lighting and the wrong. Now I use the earbuds because I move around a lot. And if I'm thinking about getting a lavalier because I'm going to need that in DC, but I've got to figure all that out. But I use these and they seem to work because when I'm doing a training, I'm moving all around this place. So it seems to work out for me. But anyway. See, and I talk too much.
No, you're fine. I agree that having that space set up is huge. Last week, I was asked to pop in at a moment's notice to something, and I could because I had done the work in advance. Just like, being able to stand on a stage, go on camera, just anything that you have to like flip into and do when you prepare in advance, you can then do it at a moment's notice. And that's huge. So it's so important. I think a lot of people were excited to, the live stuff was going back, but now we're all kind of coming back into our homes and, this Delta variant and whatnot. But you have to understand that this is the future and it's not as scary as you might think. There are people like me out there who put videos out there to help you find things and figure things out.
Yeah, and I think there's a whole conference we could do. We could do a full day conference with segments on. Someone could come in and do a whole thing on Mentimeter. Someone could come in and do a whole thing on the virtual setup. Someone could come in and do a whole thing. Me, yours truly, on empowered speaking virtually. Because here's the thing: you cannot speak the same way virtually that you do on a stage. You don't have the ability to be an actor and jump all over the stage. You have to be fully present, and you have a stage that's this big, and of course this big. Nobody uses this part of it, right? Most
Not
of the
enough.
time. And they and you see it. You see virtual people, and they act like they're a 2-dimensional postcard. So there are things to do. And when I do this, when I'm working with people, and you're in the audience, whoa, it draws the brain forward. And I have 50 tips and tricks. If anybody wants to know them, holler at me. That will bring people's brains forward. If you're in the virtual world, you have to keep drawing them in like you're fishing for, I don't know, for trout. I don't know. As a vegan, I don't know if I'd go fishing for trout. You know what I'm saying.
I mean, fish oil is still important.
It is. Fish oil is very important.
It is what it is. I love that. I love that you're embracing it and willing to share and willing to learn. I think so many people, young, old, middle, aren't willing to say, okay, I don't know this. Let me go find somebody who does. And that's something that I've fully embraced over the last year is like, okay, I want to do this thing, but I don't know how to do it. So who can I find that is somebody that, like we said before, somebody that will like jive with me, that I feel like I can connect to, that has done what I'm looking to do. And I think that's one of the big takeaways that I have from this last year and from you is you got to find people who are doing what you want and learn from them and be humble enough to say, I don't know, but I'm going to try, and just put that first step forward. I think that's great. I love it. I love it. I love it. And I love that we have the same wall.
Yeah. And let's
It makes me
collaborate. Let's
happy.
do something. Powerful women that have figured it out. It's only women. It's a full day conference. Only
I think
for
that'd be
women
awesome.
and powerful women doing presentations on all the things women want to know. And we can tell them how to do it without them having to make the mistakes we made to figure it all out.
And they can say, we can say to them, yes, you may.
Yes, you may. The yes, you may. Yes, you can. Yes, you may. Yes, you
Yes, you
will.
may. Yes, you will.
Instead of
Ooh,
the,
yes.
no, I can't and I don't even want to. We're not going to have that attitude.
No, I think, especially for women, I think that's a big roadblock. I posted something on my TikTok because I wasn't actually even confident enough to post it anywhere else because nobody's on my TikTok. Don't be going and checking it out now. It's like my little getaway spot. But it was about how this dude like was demanding to have me take my face mask down when I was out in public and I was out working. And he just kept saying, show me your face, show me your face. And I got really upset about it. And I tried to at first just be polite and divert the conversation. And he kept saying, show me your face. And he's like, oh, I'm not being demanding. Oh, I can't believe you're calling me creepy. And I'm like, but well, first of all, you are, because it's none of your business. It's my
There's
house. If I
that.
want to wear a mask, get over it. But men more often will say and do whatever it is that comes in their head. Whereas women, somebody pointed this out in the comments. They were like, why are we always so polite? You didn't have to be polite at first. Inherently, you didn't even think. You just tried to be polite to this guy and not just straight up tell him, no, you're being rude and intrusive. I'm not doing that. Stop talking to me that way. Instead, the conversation went on and on. I got heated and upset about it because I was trying to just be polite at first. And this guy thought it was okay to just, get in my face about it. And I just think as women, we really need to stand up for ourselves and stand up for other women. There was 2 other women sitting there and they didn't really get involved either until closer to the end, and that shouldn't be acceptable. That shouldn't be how we run, but that tends to be how women handle things. They try to be polite and not cause problems instead of sticking up for themselves. And it's a really big frustration of mine that I really want to help other people feel like, yeah, you can stick up for yourself. You don't have to stay quiet. And I think that's something that you're doing, or at least with the last speech. We should not just leave that open. I'll let you explain what your last speech was briefly and what gave you the permission and gave you the courage to speak up on something that as a woman, and a white woman, you weren't really supposed to do. Air quotes. I should have air quotes in this. Weren't supposed to do.
Yeah. So I'll tell you that. So I entered the contest. I was a Toastmaster for a very short period of time. Right now, I've only been a Toastmaster for about 2 years. So I've been a Toastmaster for about 6 months.
Okay.
And I joined the contest. And lo and behold, and I joined because I wanted to go to Paris. Like, who doesn't want to go to Paris? And then I found
That's
out
why I joined.
No trip to Paris for me.
I was like, oh, I love Paris.
Yeah. And so, but I find myself at the semifinals. Now, when I started, I had no idea that it was how big it was. I had no idea there were 36,000 initial contests. I had no idea. I didn't even know how it worked. I was kind of like, people were telling me on the way along. When I got to the semifinals and I made it to the finals, I had a couple of speeches. I had other speeches I could have given, but I knew it would be virtual and I knew there would be, maybe some people watching. I didn't know there'd be over 50,000. That was shocking to me afterwards. But I decided I was either going to let the moment define me or I was going to redefine the moment. And I decided to redefine the moment because here I am, just a newbie. I've never been in this contest before. I knew I wasn't going to win. And I hoped that once the speech streamed, they couldn't pull it back. Right. And I said, if I've got the world listening to me, I'm not going to waste it on a speech, even one that I thought I could win with. I'm going to stand and deliver a message for the world. And if anybody if you want to see it, it's called Pretending Not to Know. It's out on YouTube. And within seconds of that speech streaming, my computer blew up. Email, LinkedIn, Facebook, people from all around the world were locating me and trying to find me to tell me that it had touched their heart, it had opened their heart, opened their mind. I also got hate mail. But I decided that if I had a moment to give the world a message, I was going to do that. And I just shifted it. And now it wasn't what they said to do. They said, stay away from controversial subjects, stay away from, things like that. But I thought the worst that could happen is that they were not going to stream it and that I would just be kicked out of the contest. But I wasn't. And lo and behold, when you speak from your heart, when you deliver a powerful message to the world, sometimes you can come in second. So I came in second in the contest. And from that moment, everything has blown up for me. I speak about this. I am in this domain of, and this is why I speak about it. It's really, I'm determined and I'm committed to dialing back the needle on racism in America as an old white lady. And the way that I do that is I see that that racism is rampant and it's very loud, very, very loud. I'm just going to be louder. I spent most of my life, just like those women you talk about on the sidelines, I spent most of my life as a bystander being silent. And I'm not doing that anymore. And so I call other people forth to stand, open your mouth, step into the arena, be louder than the other side. And if we all do that, we can make a difference in the world.
Oh, I love it. I love that. Pretending not to know on YouTube is the speech. It will definitely get you thinking. At the bare minimum, it will get you thinking, and it is worth checking out. So I hope you get a chance, my friends, to go and check that out. It's only like 7 minutes long too, right? So
7 minutes. 7 minutes of your life.
Benefit of the contest. Yeah. It's shorter. Yeah. You can't tell me you don't have time. You've already
and here it is.
This long.
Here it is. I have a 7-minute version of that speech. I have a 5-minute version of that speech, and I have a 3-minute version of that speech. You can change the world with 3 minutes if you're speaking from your heart directly into the hearts of other people. You can change the world. You don't need an hour-long keynote to change the world. So I encourage everybody, find out what your purpose is, find out what your message is for the world, figure out how to deliver it, get coaching on how to deliver it, and change the world.
Get coaching. It's huge because as you and I both know, the first time you speak something, it's not the best time. You got to refine it and get better at it. I have a new mantra lately that I think goes with this, or I guess lately it kind of came up, instead of chasing the dollars we talked about, is it my purpose to help people make 7 figures? No, I think that if you focus on helping 1 million people, the $1 million will follow.
Mm-hmm. That's a great way to look at it. Yeah, actually, if I'd made it to I was in the contest this year and I was winning, but with my husband's health, I had to drop out. So I am going to be in the contest next year. And it's my plan to win it next year. That's what I'm hoping to do. And the name of my speech is Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? But it's changing the definition of a millionaire from someone with $1 million to someone who has touched the hearts and minds directly or indirectly of 1 million people. So I always tell people when I'm doing a workshop, whether it's an empowered speaking workshop or a Toastmasters workshop, I'm not here speaking for you. Sorry to tell you. I'm here to speak to you in a way that you will speak differently. And your messages will be different. And I am going to get credit for all of the hearts and minds that you opened up, all of the lives you changed, because indirectly, I get credit for those. So I'm moving towards, because here's the thing, and this is one thing I realized, when you get your first $1 million and you think, oh, I got $1 million. In the land of millionaires, just having one, you're a loser. Right. So even in millionaire land, 1 million, you are a total loser. You have to have at least millionaire 10. Land.
Yeah.
At least 10 before you're even can say you can play with the big boys. Other millionaires don't want to hang out with you if you only got 1 million. So money is not the way to go. Chase after creating impact in the world and making a difference for other human beings. And that's a life of no regrets.
That was your mic drop moment, and that was so good. I think we should leave it there. I want to be respectful of your and everybody else's time, but just, whew, I almost want you to say that again. Like, it's all about helping other people, and the fulfillment from that is worth more than the dollars in your pocket, because there are plenty of unhappy millionaires, unhappy, stressed out business people who have heart attacks, who get diseases, who die younger than necessary because they've worked themselves too much just for the dollar. Or there's a lot of people who have all this money and then they don't even have time to enjoy it. So what's the point of that? Thank you for coming on. You are beautiful. I'm so glad you could. We should definitely do something more. And let our people out here know if they want to hear more, if they want to find you, follow you, hook you up with potential talk coming at their business, their people. Where can they find you? Where do you hang out the most? Tell me all.
Well, if you want me to come speak, or you want me to do a keynote, or you want me to do a workshop, you can go to my website, www.lindamariemiller.com, and in the contact section, just leave me a short message and I'll reach out to you. If you are interested in figuring out what a life of no regrets is for you, or you want to get on my mailing list for the workshops that I offer, you can go to bit.ly.com/life of no regrets. There's a form to fill out. You fill it out, hit submit, and you'll join my mailing list, and I'll send you some details on my upcoming workshop.
Man, I can't spell regrets. How do I spell regrets? Okay, yeah, got it.
Don't spell it regrets, not regrets.
Okay, spelling is not my strong suit, people. I think
okay.
I did this correctly.
That's okay. That's okay. That's
you know, I mean, I got other things going, at least, right? Everybody's got their flaws. Well, thank you again, Linda Marie. I appreciate you coming on. You are a beautiful soul. I hope people found this useful. If you guys have any questions or comments, feel free to comment below or look us up anywhere you can find us. We're around, we're happy to help. And maybe we'll collaborate and do something in the future.
I see it. I see it soon. I see a fall project coming our way.
I think we should. I think it'd be fabulous.
I've already got some other women lined up. All I've been looking for is someone to come in and do the video setup section.
That's easy. That's I got you.
There you go. There we have it.
That's awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you guys for listening or watching. And we look forward to seeing you around. And remember, yes, you may. To your dreams, to your life, to your business, to anything you wish to pursue. Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Blessings.